Counties, Names, and Government by Contract. May 13, 2019 by Anna von Reitz. All counties have to be surveyed, located and geographically defined, before there is anything present that can be labeled and named. Once this process is complete and a name has been attached to that parcel, the county is corporate but not incorporated. When you, a man, come forth from your mother and are a separate living being, you are defined by your body and located in space in much the same way. Upon being named, John, or Bruce, or Charles, you, too, are corporate but unincorporated. So all counties are corporate entities, but not all counties in the country are incorporated, meaning that some of them didn't take the bait of federal block grants in order to maintain their independence. We are compiling a list of those counties that 1. Never bit the hook, and 2. Those counties that have liquidated federal franchise counties and chosen to operate in unincorporated status, and 3. Those counties that have merely been presumed to be incorporated because they received federal block grants or because they changed their doing business as names to conform with federal nomenclature. We are finding that most counties fit in this later group and did not specifically or publicly adopt being incorporated. Like the rest of us, they were apparently told, you have to do this by federal agents, so they changed the style or ordering of their names and unwittingly created new corporate persons that were assumed to be operating as federal franchises. For example, you might start out as Pearson County, and over the years the name on the shingle at the courthouse would change to County of Pearson or Pearson County, and so on. Just like the switch from John Michael Doe to John Michael Doe in the absence of actual public meetings and discussions and votes taken, there can be no reliable evidence that such counties ever knowingly agreed to incorporate it as franchises of the federal government. There are at least 3,100 counties in America and people living in all of them. Those people need to do some research into their own county history to find out the actual status of their county government. Most likely, state-of-state franchises simply moved in after the Civil War and have operated like cuckoo birds in a robin's nest ever since. The correct way to name the land and soil jurisdiction county for our purposes is always in upper and lower case and in the form, name county, as in Bear County, or Pearson County, or Black River County, or Winnebago County, or Ipsago County, and so on. Please note, when we use their notaries to do our work in public, we call them public notaries on the paperwork to nail down the capacity in which they are functioning and simply name the state, for example, Colorado, not the state of Colorado, and not the state of Colorado, and not Colorado, either, and the county is named as above, for example, Montrose County. We are also finding quite a number of diversified counties, especially in large metro areas. In these cases you will find a land and soil county overlain with layers of corporate entities from various jurisdictions eating out the population, each one charging for services and imposing regulations and codes and rules that are creating streams of revenue for these organizations without however having any actual and knowing consent from the local people. In other words, these organizations are operating as commercial corporations under color of law. They are booting up like any other commercial corporation with articles of incorporation and officers and boards of directors and operating under deceptive names designed to make people assume that they are part of the actual government, when they aren't. Think of it as the local version of the IRS, or DOT. The IRS exists as a privately owned and operated bill collector for the Internal Revenue Service, which is a foreign bureau perched inside of the U.S. Department of the Treasury, which is run by the IMF. This is why the Secretary of the Treasury, Stephen T. Mnuchin, is an Interpol agent and not functioning as an American nor even as a U.S. citizen. Anyway, these organizations like the County of Pearson typically stake out a turf for themselves and amass a list of subscribers, that is, people or even properties, that receive services from them. They come in, they fill potholes, they cut brush along utility corridors, or whatever function they have chosen for themselves, and then they send their purported subscribers a billing statement for these services whether the subscriber asked for these services or not. Often these groups act in concert with the actual county and give the county a cut of the action. They may even send their billings out from the county offices, making it appear legitimate, or they may bill the county as subcontractors and the county then arbitrarily taxes you, and again, it all looks legitimate and isn't. These undisclosed subcontractors pad their billings to be able to give kickbacks to the less savory members of county government, and around it goes. In Oklahoma it got so bad that the county clerks in the 1980s kept kickback books, literally. They kept ledgers to keep the crooks honest. Think of the magazine subscription scams that plagued everyone back in the 1980s. First, they gave you a free subscription out of the blue. It just comes to your mailbox from some subscription service. As part of that first free magazine, they sent you a subscription card to receive up to 6 more magazines at unbelievable prices, and, if you didn't bother to reply, they promised to send you complimentary copies of 6 more magazines to try. After that, of course, they just kept sending magazines, and if you were too busy to track down the fine print and cancel all these subscriptions, you were on the hook to pay for them all. This went on for 10 years before the postal authorities finally cracked down on it. It's the same thing with all the services that the County of Pearson offers you. If you don't contact them and say, "Whoa, who are you and what are you offering and how much is it going to cost me?" you are presumed to have subscribed to their service and are on the hook for paying for the services you received. A wise person receiving a bill from something that looks like the county but not exactly, should question that billing, and should want to know exactly what they supposedly signed up to receive. Who signed them up? When? How? For what services? And they should object to paying for anything they didn't order and ride herd on the cost of any services they agree to receive from the County of Pearson. This is all government by private contract and doesn't have a thing to do with the actual county, which rarely if ever does much beyond deciding which of these franchise operations are going to get the contracts next year. I hope you continue to dig for any evidence that your county was ever incorporated or presumed to be incorporated. If you can't find any evidence of incorporation, you may be living in one of those counties that never did incorporate. What a blessing for you and everyone else concerned, if that turns out to be true. It's one more thread that undermines claims that these foreign interlopers ever achieved exclusive legislative jurisdiction. Please let us know so we have a confirmed status for your county.